And good afternoon, Muskegon. Don't touch that dial. We have a special show today. Hi, this is Torn in Two. I'm your host, Gregory T. Roberts on 103.7 The Beat. If you're listening to us live or your M106, you can catch us if you would like to be involved in the conversation on our feeds on Facebook, where you can watch it live. We're going to go right into the interview. The one thing that I want to say though, at 1:40, we got a poll question that we're going to do. Here's the question: if you refuse the vaccine for reasons other than religious or health reasons, like you can't take it, should you sign a waiver waiving your rights for somebody else to have that bed care? That's happening at 1:40. Anyway, my guest today is no stranger. Um, he co-hosts all the time. He's with me. He's my brother in Christ. Of course, Pastor Melvin C. Burns II. And our guest today is running for a council seat. And we're going to let her introduce herself. It's Tamica Fox. We bring both of them into, like Fred Hammond would say, put your hands together and clap your hands for our guests. Hello, everybody. How you guys doing?
Hello. How are you?
Good.
Good afternoon.
All right. Let's start. Melvin, I'm going to let you lead because I believe in fairness. You interviewed Gemini. So let's write off the first question.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good.
Why don't we start off? I think I interviewed you maybe after your first year, a few months ago. I was thinking about it this morning.
Yep. With the mayor.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, why don't we start off? Give folks a little biographical background of who you are and how you got to where you are now.
Okay. So born and raised, everyone always says that, right? Born and raised in Muskegon Heights school system, Muskegon Heights, Lindbergh, middle school, high school. I'm a Tiger, bleed it through and through. College right here in Muskegon, Baker College. Career-wise, I've always worked in Muskegon, a little bit in Grand Rapids, but for the most part of Muskegon. Moving fast forward all the way down to the political side, I am not a political person, right? This was not on my radar at all. The mayor asked me, would I be interested? And I thought, no, not really. And I said, why are you looking at me? And he said, for the business part of it, right? Because that's the industry I'm in. So again, not political at all. And so for me, it was an appointment. So I did not run for Mayor Watt's seat. It was an appointment, and it was an appointment by majority vote. So that's how I got here. I sit on a few boards here in Muskegon, Read Muskegon, Literacy, and then United Way of the Lakeshore. And I have been an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce downtown for 11 or 12 years. So
please tell people that you are at work. And
yes. So my background right here, I'm at work, everyone. So if you hear a page that comes across and I'm muted and I don't say anything, I'll wait till it goes twice because it'll wrap around 2 times. And so I'll mute myself so you can't hear it. And then I have to pick my daughter up from school. I just found out at 3, so I have a hard stop at 2:40. So
we got you.
Yeah.
No problem.
We got you.
Yeah.
Okay, you say you're not a political person, but you served as vice mayor pro tem.
So I started obviously just as a council person, and then the mayor redesigned committees and such, and so that's where Mayor Pro Tem comes into effect there. So that's how that happened. Okay. So I serve on the personnel committee and the finance committee.
Okay, take us back a little bit. You're a private citizen. Working my own business.
Yep.
You get this call from Mayor Warren. What turns your no to a yes?
Well, just being in the city, wanting to see what we can do to make the city work and work together. And I always said I'm just not a political person. But then that turned into, well, since you want me to join this council, let me see what I can do. And for me, it was making the business connection, because that's what I did, business development and HR and all that stuff. And I was just like, how can we, get businesses to connect with us, especially working downtown with the chamber for 12 years. You kind of have your finger on the pulse of everything that's happening. And you're the face of the chamber as far as volunteering and being an ambassador. You want to make sure that Muskegon Heights is connected as far as businesses goes, to generate revenue, to make those connections, to foster a bridge, right? I'm all about fostering a bridge and keeping that open and the communication open, so we can reach down and say, gosh, can you guys help us? Or we know a connection, or we know someone, or, that can help us move forward, right? So.
Okay.
That's how that changed over.
You get appointed to council. You're there. And you said been almost 2 years now?
Yep, almost 2 years.
Okay. So tell us how different from what you thought it would be to what it is has it been?
Are you sure you want?
Give us the sanitized version.
So the very first meeting that I had was about 5 hours, 6 hours long. It was the budget. Right. I'm used to budget.
After that still, huh?
Yeah. So I'm used to looking at budgets, but I've never looked at a city budget, right? And I've never had to look at line items in that magnitude, right? Because I'm looking at something totally different. So understanding on the back end what happens with city government was very different from just being a citizen in the audience, or, having our citizen conversations like, oh, they need to do this, or they need to do that, or when are they going to do this? You start to get to understand how things actually work. Like, if we could yesterday do this, we most certainly would, but there's a lot of steps to things. And I thought too, what I saw, for face, and I'll say for face, 7, 8, 9 people sitting in front of me was always nice. That's not the case. And I'm very open, and I've known Mr. Burns forever, but I'm very open. So not having any decorum or being respectful to me was something that I thought, ooh, I wasn't used to that. I'm not used to that. So that was another thing that struck me as odd. But we'll get through it.
Yeah. So tell folks, what's been the best part about being on city council? What's been the worst part?
The best part about being on city council is being able to institute change, right? Starting the path. And I'm just going to say this because we sit on the advisory committee with the Americans Rescue Fund money, and having the ability to look at that funding and see how we can disperse that and help the city is great. Going through, like, for me, just HR going through job descriptions. Like, I remember looking at it, I remember looking at the police chief's job description, and I said, what in the world is that? Like, how are you going to find somebody to meet the expectations of the city if this is what you're asking for? So helping to redesign some of those evaluations for the city manager, for the chief of police, and then saying, hey, guys, we need to evaluate the department heads, right? Are they doing what we expect them to do? Those kind of things have been fun for me because that's what I like to do, right? And I'll say it again, and it's not the worst thing, but it's one of the things that really concerns me most is that we can't agree to disagree. Right? We cannot agree to disagree. And so when you can't do that, you spend the majority of your time arguing and bickering about, this one and that one. And we could have made a decision to do something great, and we didn't because we're too busy arguing amongst ourselves. And we have investors that are on Zoom or in public. And if it were me as an investor, well, who in the world wants to invest with a group of people that's going to make the decision and they can't get along? I always say when you're on Zoom, you have to be careful because I could be the face of Zoom and I got 50 people in the room with me.
Our first question today is from Michael Anthony Smith from Texas. Any ideas for generating new city revenue?
So housing development for me is very important in generating revenue. One of the designs that came from the city manager is to have citizens that want to purchase property to pay those taxes 3 years in advance, right? And so that creates revenue, and it also creates a format to where our property isn't going back to the land bank, who doesn't want us to have it anyway, and it sits pretty much destitute and causes what we all see now as blight, right? And I'm still open as I have been all my life. They don't care. So we'll just keep it, and it'll look bad. It'll make the community bad rather than give it to someone to make it look good and that cares about it, because we live here. Or even if you don't live here, but you want to buy the property or the lot or the area to make it look good and generate revenue. So that's one of the biggest things for me is housing development. So, yeah.
You said now one of the biggest thing is housing development. What would you think are your top 3 things that you would like to see done in your next term if you make it?
So housing development is one, safety and security is another, and then infrastructure is another one. And when I say infrastructure, I'm looking at facelift, because I always look at Broadway. And when I look at Broadway, I'm very, very young, by the way, in my mind, but I remember like the Five and Dime. I remember the Revco on the corner. I remember it being vibrant as a little girl. And so that's what I want to see it come back to. I mean, if we could bulldoze it and make it beautiful again, great, but we can't do that. So that's what I'm looking at in the next term. And 2, I also look at cities that have been where we are. I also grew up with my dad at points in time, to visit in Grand Rapids in the Wealthy Street area.
Yes.
And I'm telling you what, we couldn't even walk to McDonald's, which was right, cut across and go to McDonald's, because you don't know what's going to happen. And it was ugly and it was nasty. It was dirty. When you go now, it's beautiful. I go and eat down there, and the cars that you see, which, they cost money, and the demographic that's trying to come there and involve and entrench themselves in that area is great now. I look at 2 Grand Haven on the main drag, where they've changed the parking. And I went on a Wednesday one day for lunch, and it was so busy. I mean, you got all these shops, and they were all busy. All the food industries were busy. And then a couple of weeks ago, they had Black Restaurant Week in Detroit. And so my friend and I were online, and we were looking at where the restaurants were located. And it looked, I'm telling you guys, it looked just like downtown Muskegon Heights, Broadway, where these great restaurants, Vegan Soul, and all these great restaurants with chefs were located centrally in the middle of 2 areas that looked downtrodden. It looked just like downtown Muskegon Heights. So
it's funny that you mentioned Detroit, because I was going to mention Detroit because I would take my family to Detroit, and it was a time when you didn't know if you can walk from point A to point B. They have businesses in downtown Detroit is busy and beautiful, and they even have businesses in alleys and art galleries and some of the top restaurants and stuff. So if you invest in something, it will happen.
And when you say alleys, that's interesting, because in Muskegon Heights is, Mr. Burris knows it's alley. Well, if you look at, and some people may not like it, but if you look at paving some of those alleys, which is a different pot of funding to do, then you create a more of an attractive area, which happened in Grand Rapids and the Wealthy Street area. So when you look at housing now faced to the alley, it's not faced toward dirt and dirty, right? It's faced toward concrete. It's faced toward your neighbor, because now you have 2 properties that are facing each other, which gives us more property to work at. And it also creates what I call a live, work, and play downtown, because you're looking at a whole different demographic of people that are looking to come to Muskegon Heights and do and work. And so that's what I want to see it turn into as well. Live, work, and play, which means we can walk and eat. We can walk to where we want to go and be and do. Right.
Next question from Texas, Michael Anthony Smith. What about manufacturing industrial incentives?
So a little bit more specific on that. Like what is he?
More manufacturing or incentive.
So bringing them in.
Industrial, to bring them in.
Yeah. How do you get them in and keep them in? One thing is for council to act like we want them here, right? You want them here. We have, I sit on a board with Jack Russell, who's chomping at the bit to continue, not to invest, but to continue to invest in the city of Muskegon Heights, because we have other municipalities that are chomping to get them there, right? But he wants to continue to invest. We can get to the point where we can offer incentives on manufacturing industries with, before tax abatements and things like that, to make sure that they come. That's my industry, is manufacturing, right? So to make sure that we come and we want to invest in that area and get the tax. So if you live in Muskegon Heights and you work in Muskegon Heights, that's tax on two fronts, right? I don't want you to work in Muskegon Heights and live in Muskegon. I want you to live, work, and play in Muskegon Heights, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to be selfish about the dollars. I want them all.
All right, Pastor Burns, next question.
Okay, so we got 2 years on the council. Let's, and we're going to get to, this is election season. So let's tell us what you feel like your accomplishments have been in the last 2 years.
So for me, a big accomplishment is to remain, shall I say, level set and civil, because the decorum is not there. A level of integrity there, a level of morality there. And then as far as tangible things, like I said, redoing some job descriptions for expectations, evaluations for expectations, having the ability to be influential to certain decisions that are being made, being new, because obviously I'm new. And the other thing that I would say, I'm a listener first, because I have 2 and 1. So I listen a lot. So if you're ever in meetings with me, I don't do a whole lot of talking, because I take my time with the city manager and I ask all the questions that I need to. We go back and forth. We do go back and forth. We've had some heated conversations. And I always say, well, make it make sense. I can't support it if you can't make it make sense. And if you can make it make sense to me, then I can support you. And so to me, that's a great thing that has happened to me, was to be able to listen and learn, because it takes a long time to understand, not even 4 years, or, it takes a long time to get entrenched in that. And I'm also a reader. So that city charter and things like that, reading that, getting some knowledge, asking questions, attending some MML information sessions, some strategic sessions. So.
Okay. I got a question. Talk to the people, because I find myself have to do this over and over again, where people don't understand. You look at yourself, you work in your position, you work at ADAC. Yeah, and when you talk to people about Muskegon Heights, they have blight problems, some blight problems like the city of Muskegon and like other places. They do have some crime spots like every other, but Muskegon, for most part, Muskegon Heights have people that get up, go to work, come home, take care of their children, go to church on Sunday, and repeat cycle. It's a beautiful city. Talk about Muskegon Heights.
So Muskegon Heights is a beautiful city, right? We have so many natural resources in Muskegon Heights. Is unbelievable. I always say just ride around. And one of the good things is we still have, well, everyone has, but the grandparents or the aunts that can tell you about Muskegon Heights, what it was, and then get you to thinking what it could be. And to your point, Mr. Roberts, we do get up and do the same thing. But one of the things about Muskegon Heights is that we are a community of trust. We are close knit. We're family orientated. We want to see it win. We want to see Muskegon Heights win. We are involved. You know, we have, I cannot remember her name. She came I stopped and talked to her at City Hall. She came in 1942. I think her last name is Wright. And she goes to Christ Temple, and she's lived in the same house and the same, you know, in the same community, and she just wants to see Muskegon Heights win. That's what we got at Muskegon Heights. We don't have people that are just coming in and looking to take over. We got our own people that's looking to do great things in Muskegon Heights, right? Even if they've moved out of Muskegon Heights, they're looking to reinvest in Muskegon Heights, right? We've got like your Kaya Thornton Hunter that's reinvested in Muskegon Heights. We've got so many people that, you know, had to move for certain reasons, but they want to come back and they want to see it win. And I think that's who we are. We're close-knit. We're great. We have cultural inherent knowledge, and we know what it was. We know what it could be. We have natural resources, like I said before. So,
yeah. Do you think maybe sometimes we're used to not seeing good things? I mean, you got I think the company over off German has done this major expansion. And I was in the meeting with Mr. Russell at Rollard. He's doing some things that are recognized on a national level. And you got the local entrepreneurs, and even the Buy Black weekend a couple of weeks ago, tremendous turnout. I think sometimes we get so used to seeing the negative that kind of folks kind of. Now I try not to be a city manager anymore, but when they did Sherman, folks were like, "Well, why not that doing my street?" So I'm like, "Well, you know, I explained about the local street money, but." You ever get the sense people are so used to seeing negative, they don't see the good things happening around them?
You know, that is a thing, but I feel like, I'm sorry, I got a scratch. That's the thing. I mean, I get my negative moments too, but I feel like we have more people right now that are saying, we got a great thing here. Let's develop it. Right. I just think there's more people now that are positive than before, because you always have a dip, you always have a lull, you always have a valley, right? And you stand outside and you go, Lord have mercy, you know. But I think at this point we're coming up to the peak and we're going, okay, we're about to do some things, because we've got some young talent that they're making it happen, and they're making it happen right in Muskegon Heights, and we cannot discount them, right? When I came up, you know, if you were 20 something, they were, you don't know what you're talking about, right? They know, and they are the doers, they are the movers, they're the shakers, technology, innovation. They're right on the cusp of it. And so we need to take them and hone them and give what our grandparents, their aunts and uncles gave us, and give that to them and let them run with that and continue to move where we want to go, what we see that's about to happen. Because I can see what's about to happen.
Okay, so you make this decision.
We got another question from Michael Anthony Smith from Houston, Texas. City manager, form of government. Any thoughts of changing it?
Changing city manager form of government. So we're a mayor council run city, and the city manager runs the day-to-day aspect of the city. So in other words, Michael, the city manager runs day to day, but he has to report to the council. Yeah, he has to report to mayor council.
How do you feel that relation is between the city council and the city manager?
Do you see my eyes when you ask me?
Yeah, I saw those eyes.
Did she just mute? Did she just mute herself?
Yeah, it was just a quick mute right there.
So at points in time, I think that the relationship is okay. At points in time, I think that it's not. I don't think that there's a whole lot of respect there. And respect is twofold, right? It's a two-way street. You cannot come in and demand respect without giving respect where it is due. So I also think that we need to get to a point to understand we did not get on city council to be the captains of the happy ship, right? I might not like you. However, we still have to work together to do what we need to do for the city of Muskegon Heights. We work for the city of Muskegon Heights. Ultimately, that's the bottom line, right? That's what we do. That's why we're here. That is why the people elected, you know, everyone else, again, I was appointed, But that's why they were elected, to do what needs to be done for the city, to be the voice. So, while I think there are some concerns, I don't say it's just some concerns there. It could get better, but like I said, you if you want respect, you have to give it, and then in order to get it, you have to earn it.
Okay. So we're a month or so ago, you decided it's time for re-election.
The last day, yes, I did.
Last day,
At the last second.
So names out there with 7 other candidates.
Uh-huh.
So folks want to know, why should they vote for Tamica Fox this November?
Why? Well, because I've served almost 2 years, and I think I've done some great things. And the only thing I'm going to say is I want to be elected because I want to work for the city. Whether I get a seat or not, I'm still going to work for the city. I'm still going to do what needs to be done. I don't need a seat to do that, and I don't need the title to do that either. You can make more of an impact with decisions when you hold a seat, right? And so that's why I want to be reelected, just to be at the table, in the seat, to say, hey, that's not a good idea. Did we consult with the citizens? Are we asking these questions? Because I ask hard questions of the city manager, quite honestly, and I ask hard questions of the mayor. So, it's not a whole lot to it. I want to continue the work that I've started already. I want to continue to work for the city. I'm not running against any of those people, actually, because we're all running to do work for the city.
Okay.
So whoever wins, I hope, they do an awesome job. So.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead,
you are a true, like you said before, you are a true product of Muskegon Heights.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up there. You went to school there. You went to college in Muskegon.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of taking that degree and leaving, you came back and invested in, and you, like I said, you live. Talk about being that person that is a product of Muskegon Heights.
So let me back up and take some of the glam off of being a product of Muskegon Heights, right? So I grew up with, my grandfather was a pastor. Everybody knew him, and in the home with my grandparents, and, single parent. My dad was involved. Being a young mom, so I get all of the struggles too. And I also get how you can overcome those things. That's a product of Muskegon Heights, because I had a village. Okay. So my parents didn't do it on their own. I still have ladies that I look up to today that taught me some things, taught me some etiquette, taught me about my mouth, because you start to grow and age, and you have to understand the audience that you're speaking to and what comes back around to you. Because now I have daughters that are products of Muskegon Heights as well. So taking that education and taking that experience and taking that knowledge, and I didn't bring it back anywhere. I never left. I just decided to continue to stay here. And then I also made a conscious decision to say, hey, let me reach back and grab some people, some ladies that I know, and coach and mentor them. Because I'm not going to say, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, because I did those things. What I'm going to say is, let's look at what it looks like in the future, because I was you. I'm not ashamed to say it all. I needed the food stamps. I needed the Medicaid. It was 20 something years ago, but that was me. And I decided to get, a further education. And I decided to, take on some ownership of my actions and then move forward. So that's a product of Muskegon Heights. And the bottom line to it is, we're a village, and they helped. And when you got out of school, you probably got in trouble 2 or 3 times before you got home.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so that molded me, right? That molded me. So, the lunch lady I got it from Miss Parks. I got it at the corner because Miss Kendricks was waiting. And by the time she crossed me across the street, I got it from Miss Burt, who was next door to my grandma. And I got
yeah.
Yeah. By the time I got home, I was worn out. So,
and then you got it at home.
Correct. Twice. Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
All right, Melvin. Next question.
And I can appreciate your some of your comments. I can tell your business background that you kind of bring to city council. If I'm a citizen out there, and again, I see this list of candidates, what are the questions you hope citizens are asking themselves or looking for in city council candidates?
I hope they ask, what are your plans to do? And how do you plan to get that done? And how do you plan to immerse yourself in knowledge? So we can talk all day about what we want to see done, but how do you plan on gaining some knowledge to get it done? You know, and again, it's business for me. Do you plan on getting training? Do you plan on asking questions? Do you plan on sitting silent? Do you have a backbone? I mean, are you, you know, and I call it an industry too. In this realm, you have to have a backbone. There's nowhere in the world you can sit there and not say anything or sit there and be passive. And you have to have some clear understanding of what is happening in front of your eyes, because it happens just like that. And then you're going, oh, what in the world just happened to me? So questions from the citizens is, are you going to ask questions of the leadership that's ultimately going to lead the decision that you make? Because you can tell the city manager to do something, you can guide him, but ultimately what he does with the door closed on the telephone, are you going to hold people accountable? That's another thing, right? Hold people accountable. Are you going to immerse yourself in knowledge again? Because you have to understand, we're getting ready to look at a budget, and you need to be asking questions about that budget. If it does not make sense, ask the question until it makes sense and dig into it. Because I'm telling you, there's some things that we need to dig into, and I'm not afraid to do that.
Okay. And I used to call council meetings showtime, and maybe tell folks, that 2, 3, or 5 hour meeting, give folks an idea of how many other hours you spend during the week, either reading, preparing yourself, or interacting with citizens. So they don't think it's just, 3 hours every other Monday, I'm good. I can do that.
No, it is it. And that was, you asked me a question about being on council was different. It is a lot of time. It is not every Monday and now every other Monday. It's not.
No.
It is communications. It is conversations that happen. And you think it's 3 hours on that Monday? I have lots of conversations. It's conversations with the city attorney. It's conversations with the city manager. It's conversations with the city clerk. It's actually doing some work, right? Because when you get in those meetings and you're voting on things, that work took place on the back end. Councilwoman McLaughlin she chairs the finance. That's work. That's a lot of work. Personnel committee, when issues or concerns come up, that's a lot of work. That's investigation. It's detail. It's a lot of writing. It's a lot of thorough and thoughtfulness that goes into it. And again, it's a lot of conversations. Like I said, the city manager and I have plenty of conversations, and so do myself and the mayor. And I go, that makes no sense to me. Start over. And so I don't care. We're 3 hours. Start over.
Start over.
Yep. And sometimes with me, I walk through things backward with them, and I say, okay, so this is what you want to do. Okay, let me walk through that backward and see where we end up. I also ask them, is, what you're telling me or what you're asking me to do, is that fiscally responsible? Is it financially responsible? What does that look like in 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now? When my daughter has to make has to get decisions that I made, she's going to reap the benefit, or it's going to be bad. So what does it look like? Not 2 years, not 6 months, not 5 years. What does it look like in 25 years? What does that selection of solar panels looks like in 20 years? When it's time for them to come back and wrap around and make a decision to keep it or let it go. What does that look like? Yeah. So
Lori, we have 5 minutes before you have. I know it's gone really fast. We have 5 minutes left in your part of the interview. Melvin, did you leave out? Do you have any other questions before I go?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
What do you? How do people get in touch with you? If they have any questions or want to donate to your campaign, give that shameless plug about how they can be involved in your campaign.
So let me say this, I'm not a campaign person. I got to start all of this stuff. So I was talking to Gemini the poet and I was like, how do I do this? So I have to set up, my campaign. You can reach me on Facebook. People, I don't know how people find me all the time, but they do. I would just say Facebook. Reach out to me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You'll see that Citizens to Elect Tamica Fox pop up soon. So you'll be able to donate and ask questions and expect an answer. So
Don't worry, because I looked everything on Facebook. I was reading up on you. The one thing that I like, and the one thing that you talk about a lot is how important is for Muskegon Heights to keep and maintain that village mentality.
Yeah, that is very important. Like I said, the lady that was at City Hall, she was just paying a bill, and she comes to the meetings. It's important to maintain it because that's where the cultural knowledge comes from. That's how we're going to find out about what it looked like. Pictures are great, but when you start hearing the stories, the passion just flows out of people, and you got to keep it. In order to change the dynamic that the police are dealing with right now, you have to have the village, right? You have to be able to tell someone, hey, that's not a good thing. And then you have to get and earn that respect. So that comes from the village to me. And the most important thing about running and being on council and this village is having the passion for the city of Muskegon Heights. It's not in this industry for me, because it's male dominated. I'm not an emotional person. I'm a passionate person, right? Emotions, you get attached to people. Passion, you get attached to a thing. And the thing is the city of Muskegon Heights. So I'm very passionate about it.
Preach. Wait a minute. Repeat that, because that was deep. That was deep. That was too deep.
I'm
You said it
going
too
to use
fast.
that one again.
Yeah. It makes you, it allows you to make effective decisions when you start talking about passion and you let the emotion go.
Okay.
Yep.
So in 2 minutes, because I know you got to go, but in 2 minutes, we've already talked about some of the things that you've done, some of the things that you want to accomplish. What did, and then in this last question, what should people really know about you? Who you are?
I am straightforward. I am open and honest. I don't like to use the word transparent because we overuse it. You can ask me, I'm going to tell you what it is. I have a backbone. I'm very strong, independent, and I'm funny.
Tamica Fox, thank you so much, and you're serving, and we wish you good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Mr. Burns, Mr. Roberts. You guys have a wonderful day, a great weekend.
All right,
You have a good afternoon.
God bless.
Go get those babies from school.
I know. Yeah. Okay, baby.
All right, that was Tamica Fox, and she's Vice Mayor Pro Tem, right?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
So she's already on the board right now, and she's running with 7 others. Next week we will have Mr. Muhammad will be on the show, and we will. And again, I love having Pastor Burns on because he started to answer the questions when I was off, and I believe in fairness. I believe in giving each individual the same opportunity as the other candidate. So, Mr. Burns, hopefully,
brother, I forgot, and I should have said this at the beginning. I didn't think about it. I should disclose. I do contract work with the City of Muskegon Heights Planning Department, and I serve on a committee there. But I think everybody knows in no way does that shake my opinions. I have myself expressed my opinions about certain things at council meetings, but I do want listeners to know that I'm full-time pastor, but also do some contract work with a couple of grants at the city. So in case somebody brought it up, but my job here, as you know, is I want folks to listen to these interviews, make it a part of their decision-making for choosing candidates. If all that changes tomorrow, I'm still a resident of Muskegon Heights. Looks like I'm gonna be here till they put me 6 feet underground in the cemetery. So I want the best for my city, and I want people to choose the best candidates. So I take it as I want to, as always, we want to inform and educate our listeners,
Right.
and at another level of my community, I want them to
Right.
be informed and choose the best candidate. So I hope that's what we're doing here, brother.
Right. We're gonna go through the weather. I'm gonna take you off of the screen for a second. The weather for this weekend. Today is Friday, partly cloudy. It's sunny. High of 75, low of 64. Saturday is sunny. High of 81, low of 64. Go blue, by the way. Sunday, partly cloudy. Cloudy. High of 81, low of 61. Here's your chance of rain Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday, 50% chance. High of 75, low of 57. Tuesday, chance of rain, thunderstorms. High of 60% chance. High of 79, low of 64. And Wednesday, rain, 50% chance, high of 73, low of 57. Want to thank Lady J for doing all the work. Now, let's get back, let me get my brother back on the screen.
I was waiting. You didn't give a weather report for Washington D.C. Aren't you going down for the?
Oh, am I going?
The
You
rally?
mean tomorrow for the
Yeah.
the rally for the 18th? People, keep your eye on that rally, because the thing is that really fair for people to say that they believe in police and they believe in fair, but they're setting up, going to protest that the people that have been arrested should not have been arrested, and they're going to protest that tomorrow. So keep your eyes on that. Now,
Okay. I
here's
didn't mean
the
to divert. I
question.
didn't mean to divert us, but you were giving weather, and I thought you were going to give us a D.C. weather report for.
Oh, uh, put it this way: fences are up, and the National Guard has been called. Okay, so that's the weather that they need to deal with in Washington D.C.
All right.
All right, let's. Uh, Here's our opinion question, and we really want you guys to get into this. Now, we have talked about Melvin. You went black. Okay, so we talked about uh, the vaccine. That the vaccine, and some people taking it, some people refusing to take it. Now, there are some people refusing because of religious reasons. There are some people that are refusing because of health reasons, but there are a majority of people that are refusing to do it because they say they don't trust the vaccine. Here's the question, and if you're on Facebook, we would love to see what you think. Should anyone who politically that does not take the vaccine, should they be triaged? In other words, when you triage, if as a firefighter or a police officer or an EMT, if you go to a mass shooting or a incident where there are mass casualties or whatever, you go to each individual and say, this individual is color red, they need to go fast. This person's green. They're okay. This person's yellow. This person's black. This person is deceased. So that you triage. In other words, when you go to emergency, that first person is doing triage. They check your temperature. They check your blood pressure. They get the symptoms, and then they rank you. Are you going to be treated in the back of the emergency room? Here's the question. Muskegon, are you ready? If you are refusing the vaccine, should you be willing to sign a waiver or a piece of paper saying that I am willing to let myself, somebody else get health before me, or are you going to deny that? Melvin, you want to talk about that?
Let me go a long way. Random thought this morning. I'm driving in. I was thinking, I believe that people who make the most money should be able to afford the best homes, the best cars, the best vacations. But I don't believe the amount of money you make should determine the type of health care you get in this country.
That's
Okay.
good.
So my thought on that question is under no uncertain terms should that be a consideration for a medical health person. Again, I hate to be always the slippery slope person, but when I go to the emergency room, I don't want people to check and see whether I have Medicare or whether I got top of the line Blue Cross Blue Shield. Treat me.
Mm-hmm.
Treat me like my life depends on it. Let the county department worry about what I can pay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want my emergency people, my medical people making those determinations. People make bad decisions all the time. People do stupid stuff. And sometimes I thought, is that how to treat them? But no, despite the fact that there's these opportunities there for people to prevent or reduce the seriousness of the disease, no, I would say I would not be in favor of that. And I would not, I am vaccinated, but I would not be interested. If I were not, I certainly would have a problem with signing a waiver like that. But I understand the frustration, but I would not.
Here's Mike Anthony Smith from Texas. They need to wait for others' urgent care patients.
Mr. Smith has spoken.
He has spoken.
Back of the line.
How about you? What do you think, Muskegon? Should people have to wait for others? Now, because I know some people. And it's not even political. Jay Driver, how you doing? Said, absolutely not. That is discrimination. Thank you, sir.
But now, again, Greg, and you explain what triage is. It's not we're not going to treat you, but when you come into the hospital, the most serious patients do get to go first. That's why if you go there with a stomach ache, you may wait 3 hours, when people come in bleeding and limbs and life and death situations. So discrimination isn't necessarily illegal. We're talking about a way of discriminating based on some prior health practices. And so triage is really discriminating on which patient should be first. So I understand Brother Driver's comment there, but I just want to make that clear. You explained that with triage is you're saying that should be a part of triaging patients, whether they've been vaccinated or not.
Well, I mean, because I've seen it both ways. I've seen it both ways. I've seen people that are vaccinated, but I've also seen some people that say, I will absolutely not take that vaccine. You can't make me take it. I will not take it, even including some family members. I will not take it. I do not know what's in it. Or I've had other people say, I don't trust this administration. I don't care if I'm blue in the face, no pun in the blue in the face. But they said, I will not take that vaccine. And I don't know what's in it. But my thing is that did you know what was in the polio vaccine? Did you know when we had to have all these other shots and injections? Did you know what's going on? We're getting ready to go through a fourth wave.
Yeah. A cold and flu season's getting ready to come up. They're starting to advertise for flu shots again. Here's another thought, and again, this is not my original thought. Since this disease is new, the treatment for it, whether you're vaccinated or not, is new. The treatments are experimental. So you can go with the experimental vaccine, or you can go with the experimental treatment, which you may face with some kind of experimental or newly developed drug or treatment. Our good brother, who we hope to have on soon, again, point out, the vaccination is not new. This is a culmination of a process that's been going on about 20 years. So, and we're not doing a vaccine show per se, but as you like I have been a lot of these discussions and comments over the last year about vaccines. And again, what we see in Alabama, another state, apparently they've had a crisis. They're in a crisis state with ICU beds. Muskegon is starting to fill up again.
Yes,
And so,
I did get a report that Muskegon numbers are starting to go out the chart again, and we're starting to go down that slippery slope.
yeah, there's a practice called public health. And I don't know if you've seen some of these pictures from 1918 when we had the smallpox epidemic, but there's a practice called public health. The Surgeon General, he wears the army-looking suit
Yeah,
for a reason. There's certain times when we declare a public health crisis, and that's what a lot of folks are kicking back against. What are the limitations of what the government can do in the midst of a crisis? We know presidents can take the airline industry, the railroad industry. They can order manufacturing industry to produce certain items, in certain wartime. So, in times of crisis, and so we're testing what are the limits of during a public health crisis. Our public officials, how far can they take things? Again, we've seen pushback in Michigan with our governor. We've seen pushback against the federal administration, and so this whole discussion about triaging patients, while we're talking about it as a discussion topic, it could very well be a public health policy consideration.
Jay Driver, we're going to get Jay Driver and Michael Anthony Smith on the show. So, but the consideration is not the patient's diagnosis and the triage example, but the issue is vaccination. Does the lessen a person's need for medical care if they haven't been vaccinated? Good question, Mr. Driver.
Yeah, and he makes a good point. If you're sick, you're sick. Yeah, and I don't disagree with this point. He makes a really good salient point.
Well, it's one of the things that we're going to have to face is the vaccine, whether you take it or not. That whether you believe or not, there are people dying, and there's things happening. So it is something that needs to be. It's just food for thought. Now I want to move on in these last 6 minutes.
All right.
To talk
Yeah,
about.
you always scare me when you get that look on your face.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Let me brace myself.
Yeah, you might want to even pray real quick. As anyone that have ever watched the show or listened to the show, I have like different tinted glasses, or I'm reading the screen and I'm leaning up because I won't wear my glasses. But today I put my glasses on because and Melvin, I'm gonna tell everybody, and I'm gonna testify my sins here. Is that they sent out a notice with the church that I go to that they're gonna have a church group study for 55 and older. I'm not going.
Is this a religious reason or an age reason?
This is an age thing. I am not going. You are not putting me in the 55 class. I'm not there yet.
So you just got a problem with being in the 55 and older age group.
We had that. I mean, I have a problem with that, and I have a problem with now we're walking around the house and we're dressing like old people. We're talking like old people. I've got a problem with it. So I'm telling you, Muskegon, are you having problem growing older?
Every once in a while I do catch myself doing old people stuff. Like, I remember a couple of partners, sometime last year, we were kind of talking, that one of the guys mentioned, blood pressure medication. Then we're talking about like blood pressure medication and diabetes medication. I'm like, wait, hold up. This is old man conversation.
Yeah. We're having these old men. Now, wait a minute. I want to get back to this. This is Michael Anthony Smith, and I want to get these two brothers hooked up. He says, Jay, the question was if they refuse to be vaccinated. And that's Jay, you can answer Michael Anthony, because I know both of you brothers, and you guys, that's a whole nother show. We're running out of time. We only have 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So I want to get back to this thing. I'm getting older. The aches and pains don't go away. And now, instead of being that man who feels the need to have that car at 50. I'm that guy at 56 that won't wear the glasses for some reason but I need the glasses to read the screen. Are any of you having problems? I was in a Bible study, and one of the guys says he had a problem because he has to now start wearing ear
Hearing aids.
yeah,
Okay.
and he's having a problem with that. And to me, I said I wouldn't have a problem with, because you can do some modern things right now. You can hook up Bluetooth to your music in your computer. But anyway, I'm having a problem growing older.
Growing old. Well, that's a good one. I didn't see that one coming, brother. But it's fun. Like I say, you start noticing those little things. See, I had to every once in a while to kind of tip my head to get that. Make sure I get that bifocal part of my glasses. So they got they got the invisible bifocal. See,
right.
So folks can see it magnified, but you kind of catch folks like me kind of tilting their head a little bit to get that bifocal part when they're reading something.
Back to Jay Driver says, if you're not getting older, it means that you died young. Grow old gracefully. It beats the alternative. Brother, I believe that you are very correct on that. I'm just testifying to you, Muskegon, that look, I've got to step up and realize that I'm a 56-year-old guy. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to that study. I am not quite at age yet.
You them start one from 55 to 59, maybe, or
then I'll be there. If they did 145 to 60, I would be in that. But if you put me in 55 to everybody from 90 years old, I'm not going to it.
You don't want to be there with the old people.
Yeah, now I'm with the old people. You have put me in the category with the old people. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it. Please pray for me. Yes, I want to grow old. And the reality hit me, Pastor Burns, when I was clipping my beard, and there's not any. There are few black hairs. Most of it's just gray. And then I'm going, okay, the alternative
look like Christmas, all the.
Yeah, it's like, do I get dye, or I'm not gonna dye that. And my wife and I were talking, and she said, I like the gray. So it saved it, and I can't do the Grecian formula thing.
Don't show up next Friday with no black beard. I'm like, who was that?
All right, Muskegon. There's a couple things that we need to talk about again. The vaccine. Do your research. We need to get Dr. Sterling back on.
I'll give him a buzz. Let's see if we get him on soon. Maybe I'll give him a buzz. See what we can do.
So we can get the update on the vaccine.
Yeah.
The hospitals. I'll tell you what, the numbers are going up, and I'm getting phone calls from friends asking for prayers, and that more and more people are going to the hospital, and more people dying. Regardless of how you feel, take it serious.
Yes.
Number one. Number two. That issue tomorrow, watch Washington tomorrow and see. I don't think there will be any violence because they're ready for it now.
Yeah.
The fences are up, the National Guard is up. But the point is that our capital had never been invaded and attacked. The Civil War?
I think War of 1812 or somewhere in the early 19th century.
But people attacked the Capitol. So pay attention tomorrow. Yeah. Mr. Burns, I will see you next week.
I look forward to it, my brother. You have a good week, all right?
All right. Muskegon, this has been Pastor Burns helping me out today. I want to thank our guests for counsel. I'm Gregory T. Roberts. Thank you for watching and listening to Torn in Two. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week with Mr. Muhammad to continue the conversation for the Muskegon Heights Council. Take care. Go out and have a great weekend. God bless.
Yes.
The wait is over. The all-new Umoja Radio Network, home to over 40 Black-owned radio stations and podcasts, is here for you. Connect to the world's fastest-growing collection of unapologetically Black and proud media. From podcasts